essentially what circling is so much about has to do with listening, right? And in
Yes.
the stage of, in the second stage of circling, right? First one is sovereignty. The second one is explore, and explore is about
Right.
the subtitle of that is the, or in parentheses, is the art of getting someone's world. And
Yes.
one is, there's the art of getting someone's world, right? Because
Yes.
it's not technical per se.
No.
However, it's like I keep flashing to that sense in which, yeah, when you really listen to somebody, and you really really listen in a penetrating way, right? In a way that's like not just what they're saying, the arguments, or in the stuff that they're talking about, but who's saying it. And the
Mm-hmm.
way you start to hear is, what people start to hear is, they start to hear a care, it seems to me. It's all like, it's like you start to hear like, what, who is this being that's like cares so much to be baffled by the thing that they're addressing, right? Like, what's the,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
see, you can start
Yes.
to hear, and I think what you start to hear is this, something like, it's hard to put into words. I mean, it's, you start to hear goodness, right? You start to, it's almost
Yes.
like you start to hear goodness itself, like, oh, you're good, right? It's like, it sounds kind of
Yes.
trite, but like at that level of hearing somebody being deeply seen in that way, I think what you see is this fundamental good, and it's like it's like it shines, and everybody, and
Yes.
you can just, it's so many experiences of people kind of having this experience of like, they start talking about some problem that they're having with themselves, some shame that they're having, or some problem that they're, and they go backwards and backwards, and you start to
Yes.
open it up, and then you just see something that transcends and includes all of that, right? Is somebody's trying to grapple with something, but that they care, is it this relationship to goodness, and it's almost like you can feel the goodness itself emanating as their being, or something like that.
And what's interesting about that is, so like, and you do this better than I do, but like when you're getting somebody's world, right? Yeah, you're getting, the sensibility transcendence that Wright talks about. You're getting, you have to go through this kind of ability to re-see things to really get that other person's world,
Yeah,
because the temptation is just to see their world as a version of your world,
yeah,
right? That's the
yeah,
temptation,
yeah,
right? And then the point is, so, and then Wright talks about that, he uses Murdoch's example of the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, and I've talked about that before, but the idea is, no, I'm doing this thing, and the verb that comes to my mind is, I'm tailoring my sensibility to you, so that, right, what is I don't like these words because they drip with romanticism, but what's
yeah,
unique
yeah,
about how you care about the world, like I'm really trying to get that. But so there's kind of this, your suchness, if you'll
yeah,
use, if you allow that language,
yeah,
right? The way that there's a particular doorway to reality, a network of intelligibility that only you have woven, and I'm
yeah,
trying to see what that
right,
weaving is. But I'm also hearing something that is common, so that we can have a common unity, a community, which is you underneath it are trying to get inner peace and be in touch with the world through your caring. You're taking care of yourself and you're caring about the world, and those are fundamentally bound together. And you and I share that. We have a shared commitment to that, insofar as we are committed to a good life as good people.
right,
I don't know how much of that you heard, Guy.
yeah, oh yeah, it was gorgeous. Yeah, I heard all of it. Can you hear
Oh,
me? Yeah, you're coming through on this end just fine. In
yeah.
fact, in fact, I really heard that sense of when you said in touch, in touchness,
Yeah.
right? That,
Yes. Yes.
and that is that there's this warmth I notice, no matter how trippy and abstract the stuff that we talk about in Dialogos gets, what grows and grounds is often this experience of unbearable affinity, right? Like,
that's just it. The two are there inseparably together.
yeah,
So I'm doing some Lectio Divina on Spinoza, and I'm reading this passage where he says, God does not have abstract ideas.
yeah,
And I was like, what? And what he means is, like, we have to go to this abstraction to get to that level.
yeah,
But that level is also in the most intimate
yeah,
connections we have.
yeah,
We set these two as
right,
somehow opposites to each other or distant from each other.
yeah,
But the move is that they're distant and then they come back together.
yeah,
And so like that's exactly it. So when I'm listening to reason, and this is the question I'm trying to explore with you. There's a way in which when I'm listening to reason, I'm listening to what is common, not only common to us as people, but ultimately what's common to us and being, right? Because we commune with it. So I'm doing that, but I'm also listening to you. And like I said, your own, the way in which you are a particular perspectival and participatory portal into
yeah,
the being can express itself. And those two have to be held together.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
the question that's coming through for me is they're not identical in any logical or categorical sense, but there's this
yeah,
like I'm trying to get, because there's an irony in Heraclitus's statement,
yeah,
right? Because if we took him literally, we would stop reading the text, and then we wouldn't get the rest of his text,
right,
and we wouldn't get the instruction to pass beyond the text to the logos. And
yeah,
there's that, it's almost like a Kierkegaardian irony or a Socratic irony.
yeah,
And I'm trying to get what's the relation, and I don't mean cynical irony in the way irony is used now. I'm more, and that's why I don't even want to use the term because people are going to mishear it. But there's
mhm,
this sense about I have to both, I have to listen to, in order to listen to reason, I have to get good at listening to something other than my own monologue.
yeah,
That's the primary thing. But
yeah,
well, but right. So that means being able to really listen to others,
yeah,
which of course is the point of circling.
yeah,
But I need to also be able, but myself and the others, we need to be able, insofar as we're hearing each other, we need to be able to hear something that
yeah,
is common to us and beyond us. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here, but like listening to reason is about fundamentally getting into, getting into right relationship
yeah,
with reality,
yeah.
and caring to do that,
Well,
Sorry, I'm struggling, but I'm
this is
trying to
great,
open up
and
a
I
question.
and I appreciate the struggle because it's like you're highlighting something that's there. It's not totally revealed though, but it's present. It's present as concealed, right? And so
Right, yeah, yeah.
we're addressing it. I think that right there, it seems to me like this is a moment where we're listening to something, right?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like there's something about like where you sense. It's almost like you sense a unity. You sense that there's something making this intelligent that's unaccounted for, right? Um,
Yes.
and you hear it first. And this is why I was going to ask you, what is it? Why does it make more sense, if it does, right? If I put it like this, to say, listen to reason and not see reason,
Yeah.
right?
And
There's
I
something
think that,
intelligible there. I'm wondering about what's
yeah,
the,
no, I think that's good. And I think, I, and part of that has to do with, there's so much here, right? Because I mean, he's also, Schindler's also acknowledging that the point of the dialogues is, right? And he's trying to get this actually dialogical thing between these two traditions. We have the older tradition that the point of the dialogues are the propositional arguments. And then we have the newer arguments from Highland and Gonzalez as others. The point, Irape, is the non-propositional knowing. And then what Schindler says is, no, they're both right. And it's about actually the dialogue between the propositional and the non-propositional and
yeah,
getting that. And the idea is, if I get that into right relationship, I will be able to get into right relationship with reason, or maybe better, I will embody the right relationship that is reason to reality.
yeah,
That's so. I think when we're saying listening, and again, this is back to the irony I was just talking about.
Yeah.
We use that because we know there is some deep connection, and this is one of the meanings of logos. There's deep connection to speech. There's deep connection to speech, right? And communication.
Yeah.
There, but it's not, but the listening, right, is trying to remind us to that which is outside the speaking in speech.
In fact, draws is because there is no listening, there is no speech without listening. That's the blind spot, I think, in linguistics a lot, is that there's and communication, anything. Self-help is like, usually I think about communication, they talk about, well, what you say. But no, there is no, like, speech would not make any sense unless it was already in a response to something, addressing it, calling it forth, right?
Yes, and so that's what I mean when I want to challenge the monological model of reason. That reason is to produce a monologue, right? That reasoning is, if reasoning is about caring and being responsive and responsible, right? Responsive and responsible to reality, then it has to be inherently dialogical. And so I think why we involve listening rather than seeing is precisely because we are taking this ironic attitude towards language because we're trying to point to the inherently dialogical nature of the relationship.
Right.